Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's presentation with Yooz AP Automation. My name is Barry Yantha. I'm one of the account managers here at BAASS Business Solutions. I've been with the organization now for probably close to 12 years, and I've been helping organizations automate their business processes through the concept of continuous improvement processes. I've learned that through my background with the working with black belts on the Six Sigma process. And I've had the luxury of working with organizations on how to continually improve their business processes internally. A little bit about BAASS. We've started our organization in 1988. We've been around for about 35 years. And we've been successfully providing financial accounting and business management software solutions to companies and organizations throughout North America and the Caribbean. We have about 5,000 customers that we service and support in North America and the Caribbean, for-profit, non-for-profit, large, small, we don't care, because at the end of the day at BAASS, we help growing organizations and companies reach their potential by enabling business transformation. And we do that through the alignment of people, processes, and technology. And that's a little bit about myself, and I'll let Jonathan take that over.
Hey, Barry, thank you so much. I'm glad we got the memo for matching blue shirts today. Well, welcome everybody to the webinar. I'm excited to talk to you more and kind of what we've seen in the AP process. So my name's Jonathan Barnett. I'm a senior account executive here at Yooz. I've been at Yooz not as long as Barry, but I've been with the company for about 3+ years. And so in that time, in the 3+ years, I've helped anywhere from small organizations to large organizations streamline their processes in the AP space. Been able to help them out in numerous of different levels by just anywhere from workflow, creating visibility in the organization, lowering costs, a bunch of things. But a little background on Yooz. We're a spinoff from our sister company, ITESoft. It's ITE Soft. They're a world-class on-prem provider. They've been around for 35+ years. And at 35+ years, they developed a smart data extraction. So most of you probably never heard of smart data extraction. So imagine OCR, which a lot of you probably heard of, but on steroids. Okay, so they decided to put that technology in the cloud. And so Yooz was born in 2010. Since then, we've grown a lot. We have 2 offices, one in Europe, one here in Dallas, Texas. We process millions of documents a year. We integrate with well over 250 ERPs, Sage being one of our main products as well. But a lot of big ERPs we integrate with as well. So we've grown quite a bit here at Yooz, and excited to talk to you more about today's presentation. So what we're going to kind of expect from today, a quick little agenda, just top down. A few things I'm going to go over. Why is digital transformation so complicated? Okay, so that might be a big topic for some people. 4 key elements of change management for the digital transformation of the AP process. And then finally, we're going to go home with building the business case to automate the AP process. I will say that I like to have a little fun on these webinars. So if you have questions, anything you want to ask, we're going to leave questions and answers to the end. But if I can't get them in the middle, I will try. So without further ado, let's go ahead and kick it off to the next slide. So this slide, I love this. So why is digital transformation so complicated, right? So since COVID, digital transformation saw a sudden drastic increase, right? So in 2020, it was pointed out that those AP departments were already digitized, were up and running, and were able to adapt from the home, remote, hybrid working patterns much easier and a lot faster than other companies that I encountered here at Yooz. And so digital transformation is a unique to each company, right? There's no magic one size fits all solution, which you kind of wish there was sometimes, but there's not. There are as many digital transformations as there are companies, right? So a lot of different transformations, a lot of different companies. Of course, a lot of them implement the same principles and use similar tools such as AI-powered smart data extraction, as I mentioned earlier, so aka OCR on steroids, Also machine learning and using big data, right? So, but depending on the sector, skills, goals, the specific solution needed for each organization can differ drastically. And the tools or technology used represent only one facet of digital transformation of the business process. It's kind of where we'll see here in just a second. So digital transformation is not solely about the technology. So prime example, two companies can implement the same technology but produce very different results, right? So the digital transformation doesn't always equate to automation. Your AP process is largely about the process and the people that are involved, right? So people that are involved, I'm kind of touch on that a little bit more here in a second, and so I've seen that the goal of financial leaders is to digitize your AP department without leaving anyone behind, right? So just helping you with visibility, other things as well. But that means taking into account every member of your finance department when selecting and implementing a new digital tool for your business process. But hey, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. Let's make this very simple, right? So digital transformation is more of a mindset than just a project, right? So what I've seen kind of through the years I've been here with Yooz, the greatest failure in transformation in projects is thinking technology, right? Will be the answer to everybody's problems. Like, hey, let's get the technology. For most, it's easier to think a digital transformation as more of a mindset than just a project. Managing expectations and internal promotions on the front end will have a direct correlation to successful transitions into digitizing your AP. So people being one of the main ones. And let's jump to, I have a cool little slide that's here next. So this slide right here, it kind of talks about the success of digital transformation. The process is only 10% based on technology and tools, as we can see here on a little pie chart. But 40% is based on organization adaptation. And the big one, 50%, is on effective change management. So we see here that professionals' expertise and soft skills, which are non-technical skill related to how people work, right? Weighing heavily in a functional richness of a given technology solution, regardless of how well that solution may perform. So really cool stat right here on the slide. So on to the next one, we will see a great example from, I don't know if anyone here has heard of Five Guys, but let's take the example for them. It's a Yooz client who also has amazing French fries and hamburgers, by the way. A quote from Frederick Garreau, who's the finance director at Five Guys. He said to us that, for digital transformation to be successful, of course, technology specialists or those with technical expertise are needed, but the notion of skills must go beyond the mastery of the tool, right? And he also puts a quote up here. It's the human being who makes the digital transformation possible. So going back to what we spoke about before, he also speaks on, we recruit more on people skills and agility than technical expertise. So this portrays how people's skills are important to change and digital transformation. And I believe Barry had something to add to that as well. Barry, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. The Five Guys hamburgers are phenomenal, by the way. It's very good.
Are really.
No, it's a very important point to note to the people that are on this webinar is that, the AP automation doesn't remove headcount or reduce it or whatnot. What it does is that it allows the end user or the organization to reduce or eliminate non-value added manual tasks. It's the redundancy. It's that kind of aspect of that it's going to improve the organization, where you can maybe increase capacity in some other aspect of the organization by not having to do the manual tasks that are associated in accounts payable, because that is the lowest hanging fruit of where people look and can identify a lot of waste in terms of non-value added tasks.
Absolutely.
Next slide, Amanda.
Great point there, Barry. I love that. And thank you so much for throwing that in there. So what we've done here on these, the key elements of change management, we've broken it down to 4 elements for you to work into your change management plan to ensure that the successful of your digitizing of your AP process. And so now you can take each step here that we see and apply them to digital transformation for any of your business processes. We've also seen that applying these steps, it helps reduce the risk of failure and facilitate a smooth change in the organization. Right? So the top left, we see to determine the challenges to be solved and the priority level. Next, below at the bottom left, we'll see start with change that is fast, visible, with immediate benefits. Next, we'll see inject digital transformation into the culture of your department. And last, at the bottom right, select solution, that is with your every step of the transformation. So great little thing there from the 4 key elements of change. As we slide into our next slide, really great statistics here. So this one determine the challenge and their priority levels, right? So there's a lot of challenges with the different priority levels. And so I love this stat, but no matter the change you're looking to make inside the organization, we've always suggested to companies that we're speaking to take a step back and clearly define the pain or challenges that you're currently having right now, right? So, and so right here we see the stat. A new release was done by our friends over at Ardent Partners. They actually came out with an ebook called AP Pulse on the mid-market in 2023. And so the main challenges for mid-market enterprises, some people call them MMEs, a lot of you are probably experiencing this. So you'll probably see on the chart where invoice handling and invoice exception handling, lengthy approval times, high cost per invoice, lack of visibility into the data, and the ability to work remotely. Okay, so right here, invoice exceptions, we see that at 49%, and it was a major challenge faced in 2022. So at the top right, under AP automation stats, 24% of all invoices reported to have needed some kind of handling due to bad or missing data. So last year's AP staff spent on an average from their study, 29% of their time working directly with suppliers to fix invoices, processing, and payment errors, which I used to be in accounting a long time ago, so I can definitely feel this this pain because it was not fun always going back and fixing things. So, but to the very top, we'll see 52% of AP staff says that their invoice approvals are taking too long. This is a top pain point in 2023. It's actually slightly higher than last year. Last year was pretty high, but it was at 48.5% last year, and this year it's at 52%. And so I know some of you might be dealing with Excel documents, dropping paper off down at someone's desk or even an email, and then trying to figure out where that approval is. I've talked to clients who've had 6 to 8 months of approvals not happening because it got lost in paper, right? So the average time to process an invoice actually increased a lot last year, as I said. But according to Ardent Partners, in 2023, it takes on an average 14.4 days for someone to process their invoices versus 12.9 days reported last year. If you use that number as a benchmark, where does your organization's time to process invoice stacks up? Does it take you 14 days? Does it take you 20, 30, a month, a few days? So, but on the other hand, Ardent Partners, the cost to process invoices on average, it's declined according to the surveys last year. Despite the downward trend of 26%, we'll see down here at the bottom of organizations, high invoice processing cost as a top challenge in 2023. So kind of weigh the difference because average cost to process an invoice this year is $12.98 per invoice. Wow, it's pretty high. We'll see also on here the lack of visibility. So 31% of our business surveyed said a lack of visibility into the invoice and payment data is the top challenge, which has remained consistent from last year and all the other years that I've been here as well. So other common pain points from NFPs and first organizations that we've also seen may be related to remote working. So that has to do with difficult keeping processes moving when you can't be in the office, or the flexibility and accessing to approve invoices from anywhere, right? So, if you're working from home, going to the office to get those things done. Scalability, or the inability to grow without increasing the headcount of your staff. So too much manual work and tasks for the employees you already have. Also, we've seen paperless. So for multi-location organizations, the amount of paper that has to be moved around from, month end to end, month end and reporting is high for manual AP process. Also costly and time consuming as well. So, and then the last pain point that I have here, approvals, slow approval times. That's what I just mentioned before. Bottlenecks and delays and approvals, hunting down where the approvals are stuck. So I've talked to a lot of companies, and I know a lot of times that is a big thing. No visibility in the organization, which I know a lot of people are experiencing. So being able to define what needs to be changed often leads to the root of the cause. That's where you need to focus to find a solution for you to truly have the most benefit from any changes you are looking to making your business process as well. And I know Barry's dealt with has a few clients and examples that we had talked about from NFPs and other clients. Is that correct, Barry?
Yeah, no, I mean, all the data that you've got here supports the conversations that we have as well too. I mean, at the end of the day, non-for-profits, they have the standard typical issues and challenges. They receive bills, and they've got various different programs or various different departments, and within each department they've got multiple programs, and they're each responsible for their own type of cost aspect of things. So they have to approve something at a program level, and then it has to go to accounting, and then accounting will approve a certain element if it's at a certain dollar value. Like, they all have the same challenges about going through that manual, the time that it takes to be able to get to the approval process, to be able to get to that aspect of it. And that's where that time wasting aspect comes into play. And I had an example. I sat in on a call about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, I guess. And I'll give you one example. It was a customer of ours that they documented. Actually, it wasn't very complex. They just went through a simple workflow, how they currently are doing things now. What happens when we receive a bill? How many do you get on a monthly basis? And then walk us through it in a very simplified way. And they identified, it's their numbers, not ours, but they identified 44 hours a week that they were wasting in chasing things down, trying to go through the approval process, manually keying stuff in. That's almost, what is that, 170, 180 hours in a month. And these are the kinds of things that you have to measure to be able to quantify a business case. Like, these are hard numbers that's cost that you could be recouping and reallocating that to something more value-added, task-related, as an example, Jonathan.
Yeah, and reallocating those tasks saves so much time, and probably also takes off a lot of burden off the back office as well. So
for sure.
Great point there, Barry. Love that. On to the next one, Miss Amanda, please. Inject digital transformations to the culture of your department. So kind of, great segue from what Barry was just mentioning, on the task, and just crazy amount of hours spent in that month, chasing down things. I have a stat here from Hardin Partners saying that 53% of mid-market leaders predict to have a digital transformation, transform their AP process over the next 2 years. So change is coming for the AP process, which I've seen a lot of changes throughout my years here. But digital transformation is it's not just about technology. Once again, it's about the people too as well. So if we take the quote from the Five Guys Finance person Frederick from a step earlier, it's not, so it's not only is it about humans being able to make digital transformations possible, but the digital transformations without human, it's just computer science. So you got to have the human people there to help with the process and moving things forward. The framework of digital transformation is to change practices and change behaviors, the way people work together, right? So just helping your jobs out, helping the jobs out around you, smoother, more visibility, right? And the people make the organization. I've seen it time over time, and so that's why a lot of successful businesses grow, in my opinion. And the only ones bringing the change are the ones who make the organization evolve by leaving old habits to develop new ones. And I know it's hard to develop new ones. I think we're all there on a lot of different things. So, but we recommend that you should not start to the digital transformation by only considering technology, but considering the human dimension on a priority basis, right? What are your people and how to kind of move everything forward, right? So when we talk about impacting the culture of your department or organization, this is not just a surface level change being made. It's all the way down to the core root of your department from there. So just a lot of things there. And then Barry, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add on that piece.
Just to like identify that what I've noticed significantly in the last probably year is the youth that are coming into these departments, and they're used to a different animal here. I mean, I'm going to use an example of what my daughter did about 6 years ago. She was had to do an English assignment, and she was in grade 7, grade 8, I guess. And she was on her phone, lying down on the couch and plugging away, and I thought she was playing on a game of sort, but she was actually doing her English assignment, and she was saving it to the cloud. And when I asked her, I said, "You're supposed to be doing your assignment." She says, "I am, Dad." So she had uploaded the first part to her teacher. She says, "I've already verified that the teacher's received it. She's marking it. I'll know what the first part is by the end of the day, and I'm just finishing off the second one, and I'll do it." And this was when she was in grade 7. So then you just think about how the younger generation are looking at manual processes and things that I guess old school ways of doing things have happened. And that just doesn't happen with the new people that are coming into organizations now. They can see inefficiencies in manual processes. I've worked with one customer that we're implementing Sage Intacct with right now, and they can see the benefit of the digitization and that digital transformation, I guess, in the automation aspect of it. And it's important because they're not going to want to hang around if they're going to have to deal with these types of things. You got to think about retention of people and attracting people into this role, because like I said, the role, is identified as, it's manual keying in of information, and it's redundant and what have you. You need to automate levels of that for the next level, for the next generation of people, I guess.
Yeah, and speaking on that, do you see retention being a problem for some of your clients as well, for that are stuck in an older?
I do, because everybody, because you think about it, right? So you got somebody that's older, maybe in the late 50s, 60s, that have been doing this for the last 15, 20 years, and you know what? That's probably the majority of people. And I want to retire. Who are they going to be replaced with? Not somebody in equal to that. They're going to be looking at putting out an ad and trying to get somebody in to replace that, and that's going to be somebody that's probably on the maybe younger generation, and these are the things that they're going to be expecting. So that's what we see now. That's what we see now in the conversations that we're having with some of the organizations now. We just are.
Yeah, I just had a client come on to Yooz, and the lady had been there for I think 20 years or 18 years, and she just retired. And then they brought in a whole new, whole different person, and so they want to change their process because of the person was like, "Hey, I've been here and I need to digitize more. I can't do the paper or I'm going to leave."
Yep, exactly.
And so it was a huge demand, and so when I talked to him, it was just worked out. But great example. Thanks, Barry. It's good information. Let's jump over to our next slide here. So it start with the change fast, visible, and with immediate benefits, right? So that's kind of everybody's happy in this picture, but the third principle is that it's wise to take on projects that allow rapid deployment while generating strong visibility and immediate benefits, and also driving behaviors and practices forward, right? And so if we think about that, digitizing brings maximum exposure concerns in many processes with solutions that are simple to deploy. User satisfaction rises thanks to the elimination of the time, so consuming tasks, coupled with better understanding of daily gains as well. So change is better and accepted more quickly with this approach, as it reduces worry and presents transformation in a positive light, right? So while they're happy, so I guess we're saying goodbye to time-consuming and discouraging tasks, but they've also encouraged colleagues to step safely outside of their comfort zone, which is nice. So gaining stakeholders, a little tip that I have. So gaining stakeholders in a buy-in and pivot them to advocate for change is always nice. So you can make a change in an organization, which I've seen hundreds of times, and keep your same processes, but give you more visibility, make everything a lot more easier, and then lower in costs in other ways too as well. So if we look at our next slide of select a solution that is with your every step of transformation, I'm gonna let Barry jump in on this one.
Yeah, I think, thanks, Jonathan. I think it's really important for organizations. You have your organization and what it does, whether your programs are designed for marginalized populations, social service programs, whatever it is. You have your mission and identified goals and what you do. What you want to do now is identify through a small business process review just how exactly, as I identified in one of the previous examples earlier, is just walk through, document it. What happens when you receive an invoice? Who has to touch it? Who receives it? Who has to touch it? Where does it go? And get a sense of like the commitment and the time that it takes, because you probably don't identify that as a problem or a challenge because you're just used to doing it. This is how we've always done it, Barry. It's like, yes, but these are the things that can be automated. And then it's very important that you try and quantify it with a number so that you can measure it. That we think, okay, it's very simple. It's the number of invoices that you do on a monthly basis. And what do you think the time it is to process and go through this aspect of capturing the invoice, going through your typical process that you do now, and then trying to understand through the return on time, we call it now, not return on investment, what those opportunities for improvement could look like. And then, as I said, the one identified that there was 44 hours in a week that they've identified as wasteful time that could be better allocated to the other parts of the organization. And this is exactly what we try and put forward to other organizations, that these non-value added tasks that can be automated with AP automation is what should be looked at, because you can build a business case very strongly for that kind of stuff. And I've got one customer, I don't know if there's anybody on the line that's part of a First Nations group, but I know the government, it doesn't matter whether it's Yooz or it doesn't matter if it's Sage or anything. If you can identify business process improvements for your organization that will gain better visibility in your financial reporting aspect of things, they fund those types of things because they see the improvements that organizations are going to be able to achieve. And going through and identifying these steps and documenting them and measuring it and quantifying it in numbers is the first step. I'll leave that next to you, Jonathan.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And digital solutions, I've seen choose to work in processes, but not only the technology itself, but company or organization that's selling it, right? Kind of back what you just said, Barry. So when it comes to the AP automation, we've always suggested, and this is what I literally tell my clients, because obviously a lot of people are going through different pains, find what you need, but always suggesting the right solution that not only checks all the boxes, but it also solves the pain points, right? Because if you're just jumping in technology without solving your pains, you're just kind of wasting your time.
Yeah.
But then also going someone very customer centric, kind of like, BAASS, right? Always there for the customer, with you every step of the way. Especially when you sign a contract, some people, they experience disappearing acts. Implementation, same thing. I've seen people just, they say, here you go, you signed the contract, boom. You need someone to walk with you through that process, learn how to do ABC versus just throw it at you and say good luck, right? Because there's a lot of things there when you're changing, when you're adding something new that can really change your process and plus give you a bad experience as well, right? Because you don't, so the main points of that after implementing, make sure that everything's created, roles, delegations, and that you have, like I said, someone with you the whole time. These are kind of the key points that I have for getting up and running, as well as training and onboarding as well. And then what does post-implementation look like? Do you have a dedicated support specialist? Do you have someone there to help you when you need it? Is there a chat? Is there a phone number? Is there direct email? Is there a contact? So, those are just a few things for me. But I have a quote from one of our, she's a controller at Go Auto. Her name's Sherry Wang, and she told us that they were very fortunate to have readily available support from Yooz. The dedicated support team was integral in a smooth and seamless conversion process. So together with our internal team and executive leadership, we had all the pistons firing in the same direction, which was why we were able to roll out Yooz to our group with such success. And Go Auto is not a small organization, so I'm glad Sherry was able to give us that quote for today, just because of how they're fairly large organizations. So small or big, we worked with them all, and it's always good to kind of help the process and walk you through everything, especially changing. So let's see, I think on to the next slide, there is some customer quotes we have here. I know I haven't said this yet, but if anyone on the line has any questions that you would like to ask for Barry or myself, or maybe get answered later, please throw them in the chat. We'd love to talk to you or try to answer those questions from you. But we have some quotes here from, everything transparent, all the invoices and all the paperworks are all there and ready, available. Really what is important to us, like I said, is to be a good steward of the funds that we have. And in our audits this year were smooth, and nobody likes a bad audit because audits are just a big pain, which we've gone through. So love to wait for any questions that come through. I know there's a few on my side I can probably see. Let's see.
We did just have a question come through, Jonathan, actually. I had a user ask, how long does implementation typically take?
Thanks. It depends. So I've seen we make it pretty simple. We can go as fast or as slow as you would like, but typically it's 1 hour training a week or 1 hour calls a week. It's a kickoff call, and depending on the organization, 3 to 6 to 8 weeks, just depending, but it's fairly quick. But if you want to go longer, I've had some people that want to go longer, so it's kind of hit or miss. But I would say 4 to 6 weeks, actually, somewhere around there. Thanks, Amanda.
No
Any
problem.
other questions you can see on your side?
Yeah, I have one more here. Can AP automation integration, can AP Automate integrate with our existing accounting software? And how does this impact my workflow?
A great question. Yes, so we integrate with over 250 ERPs, depending on what your ERP is, but we integrate, as long as they accept the file, we can integrate with them. And your workflow, so that's kind of a loaded question, but how does it impact your workflow? More visibility, more control on where it goes from the start when it comes inside of Yooz. to all the way through. And also, I never mentioned, but Yooz, we don't have templates, and we don't outsource. Everything's read by our smart data extraction within 30 seconds. And so it's right there. It memorizes coding. From there, you can have your own process and workflow. But the visibility is big for the impact of workflow. Plus, there's a lot more you can do with that if you want to put late notifications, escalations on an invoice after so many days. Really up to you. Especially what I've seen a lot of people with delayed times of getting those approval. Kind of back to what Barry mentioned. You can add those inside of our platform, and it will help streamline a lot. Pull those reports, see what's late, what's still outstanding, chat with people. So, great question.
Great. Thank you for that. One more question here. We've already added new digital elements to our AP process, but we're not seeing the positive impacts you mentioned in this webinar. What would be your recommendation?
That's a great question. Let's see. Let's think about that. So I know a lot of times digital element doesn't also mean automation, right? So I know some clients that I speak with might say we digitize stuff, but all they did was maybe add an AP email box that you can send and forward stuff to. Automation is where all the productivity earnings are. You can review your processes, look for manual tasks. So I guess the difference is if you're digital, and you're not seeing the positive, maybe you're not automating your processes. They might want to look into that piece a little bit more from what I can remember. So what I can think of right now, my recommendation would maybe look at more of automation versus just digital. I know also digital transformation is still possible if I can get the buy-in of the AP staff beforehand. Yeah, it's possible. So I also got this too as well earlier about changing ERPs. So if you're in the process of making a change ERP, you're always welcome to make the change to whatever product you do. But Yooz will guide you throughout the whole process. And then whenever you're ready to make the change, you'll reach out to your account executive or to your implementation specialist or your direct customer support. Say, hey, I'm making a change over to, we'll say, Intact. What process, what steps I need to do, and then they'll ask some questions. When are you going live, et cetera, and then they'll make the smooth transition from there. So, great questions.
Oh, that's great. I guess we have one last question here. It just came in. How can AP automation improve the accuracy and speed of our accounts payable process?
I've seen it speed up. I know I mentioned on the slide, I can't remember which one it was, but of the $12, I've actually seen that save 60% or 70% of time in the organization. It's a study that we did with our partners a while back, and it will actually speed up the time quite a bit from, I believe it's, gotta think here, what is that stat? I think it speeds up the automation from 28 days to about 6, and it drops the cost from, I think it was $12 down to around 3. So 78% savings overall, which is nice. So it'll speed up pretty drastically as well. So